Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Choices Finding Your Joy. Oh my gosh, I just have so much fun sharing amazing guests and the amazing information and inspiration they give us. I am your host, Paula Vail, founder of Wellness Inspired, and I would love to do a shout out to everyone. Check out my website, Wellness Inspired, and you can order a free copy of my new book, Why Am I So Happy? All you pay is shipping. I'm just so excited to share it with so many of you. So wellnessinspired.com. And I really am excited to share with you Kerri Hummingbird today. We met a while back and I just fell in love with her and her energy. And she's here today to share some great information about her new book, The Second Wave, which I just absolutely loved. Kerri is an international best-selling author of The Second Wave and the award-winning best-selling book, Awakening to Me, One Woman's Journey to Self-Love. She is a soul guide, a channel, an embodiment of White Eagle, an ascended master who specializes in rainbow light activation of human DNA. She just has so much to share. So first off, welcome, Kerri.
Hey, welcome. Thank you for having me on your show, Paula. I'm so glad to be here, and I'm really excited about your new book as well. It's so exciting to have all this information coming out now. This is great.
I tell you, there's nothing like that first book. You know, it's like, wow, I did it. I did it.
Congratulations.
Kerri, thank you. Thank you, honey. Well, I would love to have you share a bit of what prompted you to write this recent book. Tell us about that.
Well, this was a download. So for those of you out there who get downloads, I got a download and it said, you're writing a new book this year. And this is back in February. I said, I am. What's the book about? And then the voice that I got in my head said, well, the second wave. I said, what's that? What are you talking about? And then I remembered through like meditating on it that Dolores Cannon had seen some video or something where she had been talking about this waves of volunteers, the first wave, the second wave, the third wave. And I was like, oh, I'm going to write about that. And then I was very perplexed because years back, my friend had tried to force actually Dolores Cannon's book on me and said, you should read this because you're into all this shamanism stuff and all of this, woo-woo stuff, and you'll really like this book. And I picked it up and I couldn't read it, Paula. Honestly, like I wasn't in the space, I guess, to read it at that time, and I couldn't read the book. I was so like, But the cool thing about Dolores is that she actually did so much amazing work. And I've since that time with my friend, I've experienced the QHHT, the quantum healing hypnosis technique that her people do. And now I feel like, wow, that is so amazing because it puts you in the subconscious state where, this information comes up, right? So she actually interviewed like thousands of people and found out about these waves of volunteers by interviewing people who were in this subconscious state. Isn't that amazing?
Oh my gosh.
It's incredible, isn't it?
I mean, just how amazing our universe, our energy, and our connection to each other and source. It is so amazing and really so exciting, isn't it, Kerri?
It is. And the interesting thing about my resistance to like reading her books in the first place was that here I am writing. I wrote this book called The Second Wave. And I think to myself, that was probably my ego that was not wanting me to read this information, right? And so then I would have been catalyzed a little sooner in my work. But all things being perfect the way they are, I started writing the book. And it was really interesting because my first book I wrote, like my first book, Awakening to Me, I sat down and I wrote that book over the course of 2 years as I was going through my healing journey. And I documented my journey because that voice told me to write the book because I was charting the course out of madness. So I wrote that book that way. But this one didn't work that way at all. This one was very fluid. It was like channeling, which I do a lot when I'm with clients. I channel. I just sort of like open up and information comes through me that I wouldn't consciously know. I just sort of allow this wisdom to flow through me, and oftentimes it surprises me as well. And that's what happened with the book. I somehow was able to do that in the book, like just not look at the words, because if I looked at the words, then I caught myself wanting to understand the words and get involved with the words. And so I had to just sort of type, knowing that words were coming out, and allow it without reading it myself as I was channeling it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, very cool. Oh my gosh. And so many great points you make in the book, Kerri. And one thing I really thought was a lot of fun is Earth amnesia. How we
Yes.
come into, this lifetime in this physical vehicle, I call it. And, we have that Earth amnesia. Tell everyone what you meant by that.
Yeah. So earth amnesia is like forgetting who you are. It's like you're coming in, you're a soul, you're this monster soul, this ascended master, this whatever from across the galaxy. And you come into this human form and you forget all that. And all you remember is, oh, I'm in a body and it looks like this. And this is what they keep telling me my name is. And now I'm in this family.
Now.
And you don't remember anything but this personality self is who you think you are. At least that's how I experienced it. Now, some people are, I think, fortunate, but they're just having a different journey. But some people I still think they're fortunate because they remember who they are, even though they're in the body.
Mm-hmm.
And they come in and they say, I'm not from here. This isn't home. I want to go home. you know, Get me out of this place and send me back home because this is too hard. But I didn't have that. I felt like I didn't belong exactly. I felt like I was coming into the party a little late and I wasn't in on all the games and the tricks and like what other people seem to understand innately. I didn't understand. Like I didn't understand about lying and I just didn't get that. And I felt like I was different in that way. So I don't know if you've had that feeling too, Paula.
Yeah, what has really resonated with me is feeling and knowing that we have the angels with us. We have guides. We're so connected to the planet and the messages we can get from animals and the planet. That's really something I've been very tuned into my whole life. I've just really, because I was a miracle baby, not supposed to survive at 2 pounds, and I did, I just really felt I had guidance that I was meant to be here. And that made a big difference for me.
I just spent a lot of my time being a little confused, because I knew things about people and they would just fly out of my mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And then people would be upset with me. Or they would say, oh, that's not true, or they would deny it or whatever. And so for a long time in my life, I didn't understand why I would say these things that would make other people upset, right? And of course, now I'm a healer, so everything's in right relationship, and people actually come to me for those things that I say just out of my mouth, and they're grateful for it. But it's a whole different experience now. But I think it's also because I remember who I am now, and I know that, oh, okay, that person just wasn't ready to hear that, so don't just share that information yet. They're not, ready to know that about themselves, or they're not ready to witness that in themselves. So stop telling them things that make them uncomfortable if they're not ready. So I think it's a process of learning. I think, so in the book, what I really channeled is that the second wave is us that came in to help the planet ascend. And we just have access to some more lifetimes than maybe some of the other souls on the planet that are a little younger. So they're kind of still in the process of learning. And we kind of came in to help to transition the planet into the age of Aquarius because we have some skills. But even with all that, I got to say, this planet is quite challenging, because apparently now I know that I have these great, wonderful guides and, White Eagle and all these amazing guides, but I sure was confused for a good 42 years, so, I think this is a pretty tough place to be,
And it's so fantastic as our vibration raises as our intuition increases, we just connect and pick up on so much more, that guides us in our path. It's just amazing and so wonderful. It's like, oh, what else is going to, open up for me, or who will I connect with? It's so fun to think about every day. Something you say in the book, things are never as they appear, they're better. I loved that, Kerri, because there's, what we see and acknowledge right now isn't even close to what is yet to manifest, that could manifest. And really, that's really exciting. It is.
Yeah, I had a lot of lessons around that on my journey. I think specifically to teach me to be careful about my spider medicine, because I have really good spider medicine, weaving the webs with my words and creating my reality. And for the first part of my life, I used those gifts to create some things for myself that were a little challenging. And so then when I learned about this, how I had this gift, I started spinning a different web. And you're right, like, when you realize that everything is actually better on the other side of the discomfort that the ego faces, right? The ego doesn't want to go there because it's afraid that you're going to try and kill it. And so the big work is to like really reassure your ego, your personality self, like, no, we're not getting rid of you. And we're not even really getting you out of the way. We're just trying to make you into the way. Like, you are the way that the spirit flows through, if you allow yourself to be that. And we're just trying to, help you to be the way that the spirit flows through. You're not getting discarded. And when you kind of make that shift, then the ego personality can relax a little bit and allow you to show it that on the other side of its fear is like so much more. Like, it's just better. It's way better on the other side.
Yes, that's so true, because keeping the ego in balance, the ego will benefit us. But when the ego's out of balance, it can actually block what's coming through, because it can be out of balance, it can be controlling. And when we have our ego work in harmony with everything else around us, it just opens doors, doesn't it?
It does. And that's a big part of the work I do with clients. It's the big key part of the work is to relax the ego. Like, it had to get so strong all by itself, or at least it thought it had to, right? And so, and I find a lot of the people in the second wave are actually women. And I think it's because we're going into the age of Aquarius, not to say there aren't men out there in the second wave, but I think a lot of it is women. And it's like, we're bringing out this side of us that is a divine feminine, which is letting go, which is surrendering, which is allowing. And how challenging that is for the personality self, who had to get so strong and so smart and so cunning to survive, and brilliant in the mind to cope and to survive, and resourceful. And now you're telling this really brilliant, resourceful mind to take a back seat. Woo!
Yes.
Now that is the work, right?
Yes. Yes. And, as you stated in the book, you talk about the soul's wisdom. I call, my soul planner as, who my higher self, who is with me constantly. And you're so spot on about the soul's wisdom, and we can tap into that. Share a bit about that, Kerri.
Well, like, the only way that book came out of me in 4 months, because I started it in February and I published it July 27th, because that's when my guide said we're publishing the book. And so the only way that happened is because Kerri personality allowed soul wisdom to totally flow through and do the whole project and surrendered to it. That's the only way it happened, because it was never going to happen any other way. Otherwise, if it was Kerri personality, it would have been like sitting there trying to figure it all out and then second guessing everything and not trusting. This way, it was like a total surrender. Like, I'm not, don't even read the words. Don't let the ego mind read the words, because it will just confuse it and it'll stop the flow. So just trust. And and let it all come out, and then be educated by it. So that's actually been the process I've gone through, is to let my higher self just write the whole book and then go back and be educated by it, like go back and read it
Yeah.
and be as amazed by it as everybody else. People are saying, they're like, I'm highlighting this book and I'm like underlining, and I'm like, that's wonderful. And I can celebrate it because I know that I didn't, like, I'm learning too, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Kerri
Yeah.
personality self is learning as well, and I'm super excited by it. Like, I'm just delighted that the whole process happened and that I can learn from it too. So yeah,
It's
it's
a gift to you
funny.
as well. I know with my book, I would be driving or sitting somewhere or doing something, and these thoughts would come to me. Oh my gosh, you- uh, I have to talk about that, and I'd stop and make notes, and that just guidance and wisdom that we can all open up to. It really is.
And don't gunk up the flow. Like, when the flow is going, get out of the way of it. Like, let it roll on through, and then as long as it wants to go. I mean, there's times I sat there for like 4 or 5 hours in a flow like that and just let it all flow out, and then went and took a walk after and thought, wow, that was amazing. Like, that was cool.
I love it, and get in the flow, and the energy that when we get in a flow like that, it just comes through, and you can just be writing until your hand hurts. It's just coming, and that's a beautiful thing.
It is. And I really love that you talked also about the plants and the rocks and how all of life we can learn from. And I talk about that in that book, in the Second Wave book. The message comes through really strong about, everything in life here is an ally for humans to learn, for us to integrate with all of life on Earth. There are teachers, like the stones are our teachers, the plants are our teachers, and we've been like killing our teachers, but destroying things. But we need to flip that, because we haven't really understood that there are teachers. They're here. They have wisdom, like all the plants in the jungle. Which is why it's such a tragedy right now that it's burning, because all the plants in the jungle, all the medicine in the jungle has wisdom for us, like really important wisdom.
Yes, yes. And something else that you mentioned in the book that I'm myself am very passionate about. I think it just sets a tone for our life, our path, our manifestation, and that's gratitude, Kerri. How
Absolutely.
how important is that? Tell us your thoughts on gratitude.
Well, what I've really learned from walking the beauty way, and I've been really graced and blessed to be in connection with the Karo shamans, who have maintained their traditions for thousands of years, connected with the Pachamama, and with the Huichol as well, who have also maintained an unbroken lineage of connection and teachings, is a humility, is a humbleness. And with humbleness comes gratitude. I think that I've faced a big sickness within myself of entitlement and greed, from, like, it's like there's never enough in a Western culture. It's like we just can never get enough to fill the big hole inside. And the thing that these indigenous people have remembered throughout all these thousands of years is how grateful to be here on the planet, how grateful to be gifted a life, to be in the Garden of Eden, because in fact, this is the Garden of Eden. This earth is the Garden of Eden, and we have been gifted a life here. We've been gifted an ability to be in a body and to co-create. And we can create whatever we want. We can create hell if we want to, or we can create heaven. We get to choose, and we get to have this opportunity. That's a huge gift. So for them, like, every day is a gift, because they really witness the gift that they have. They walk the beauty way, and as I've been walking the beauty way, I really see through their eyes more and more every single day. And I work with my domestication, my conditioning, to loosen it up so that I can experience even more gratitude and love.
Yes, yes. And that it is huge. Gratitude is so huge, and what it can do for us emotionally, and what we attract, and I love you mentioning, that makes a difference on, are we grateful for this beautiful, beautiful planet we live on, or, you know, is there disrespect and lack of gratitude? it's a choice we all make personally.
It is. And I saw years ago, and maybe it's time to share it, but I saw years and years ago, Pachamama spoke to me and said, I said, well, how can I help you? And I heard her say, teach people how to send me love from their hearts. And so it's like simple. Your heart chakra is connected through a meridian through the bottoms of your hands, and that's, as you know, where the light flows out from your heart. That's very healing. And so we could actually place our hands on the earth and flow our tremendous love and gratitude from our hearts into the earth, and that's actually very healing for the earth to receive our gratitude for her and for these bodies and for this experience. And it would really be a good time to do that with all the things going on in the earth right now, to send love every day through your hands and from your heart right into the earth.
Yes. And we can all come together and do that. And the earth will feel that love. It really will.
Absolutely.
Well, Kerri, please take a moment to share with everyone where they can purchase your amazing book and perhaps your website information. I would love that.
Absolutely. Well, the book, The Second Wave, Transcending the Human Drama, is available on Amazon.com. And you can also go to the website for the book, which shares a short meditation to help you find out if you are part of the second wave. And that is thesecondwave.media, MEDIA. And then if you want to find out more about, butterfly, circle, and transformation that I do with people to reinvent themselves, you can go to kerrihummingbird.com. That's KERRI, hummingbird.com.
Yes. And you do more than just write books. Expand on that for us a little bit.
I hold space for mariposa, for butterfly, to teach transformation to my students. So I downloaded a course called Reinvent Yourself, which is a program that I do individually with clients and also in a group setting called Butterfly Circle. And it teaches people how to walk the beauty way. It teaches people how to step through the magic door, to walk step in step with the great spirit, God, source, creator, universe, whatever your word is, and to invite your soul self to take the lead. So it's very, transformative, because who's better at transformation than Mariposa? I mean, she's the best. So it's a really fun experience. People go through incredible, like, mystical experiences and synchronicities through their day. And it's guided by the Karo shamans who work with me etherically through my training. So it's a very beautiful process. And I love doing that. It's like I don't know about you, Paula, but once you found your happiness, like, isn't like the next level to see other people go through the happiness too? Like, it's like vicarious joy through people's journey.
That's my goal with my book, is just, help others find that happiness that is theirs, and they have. Well, with a few minutes left in the show, Kerri, what last message do you want to leave everyone with today?
Well, the last chapter of the book is called Courageous Heart. And I think it's a powerful message for anybody out there who considers himself to be a light worker, a leader of light, or somebody here to help the planet ascend, is that courageous heart is the ability to show up with your heart open and in any circumstance and share love and compassion. That's not to say being a doormat and, letting people walk all over you and be mean. It's not really about that. It's about being in a space of such tremendous love and knowing and power within yourself that nothing can diminish that power, that absolutely nothing can divide the love you have inside of you for any other human, any other person on the planet. And it's that courageous heart that it can be a fierce love in the world that is what we really need right now.
Yes. And, when we tap into the love we have, it, maybe for people, for animals, the planet, that does give us courage, and it gives us strength. Love really is the greatest power.
Love is the greatest power. And when we realize that we have the power to be a conduit of fear, or we have the power to be a conduit of love, it's a choice. It's like, which dog do you choose? The white dog or the black dog? It's the old, Native American tale. And we can have that power to recognize and notice and not ignore, but go, okay, there's some fear here. And I choose to be a conduit of love in the midst of the fear.
Yes. And where that raises us is just so amazing and so beautiful, and what doors that opens us up to, by making those choices, be happy today and be a conduit. Yes. You are just such an inspiration, Kerri. I am just so grateful.
Thank you so much for having me on the show, Paula. I hope that all the listeners out there got some little nugget to help them through their day today and any challenges they're facing. I love doing this work, as I know you do as well.
Yes. Yes. We love it. Well, love, hugs, and blessings, Kerri. Love, hugs, and blessings, everyone. I will chat with you next week. Thank you for joining us. Bye.